Okay. Well, give me a second, guys. Give me a second. Let's start this thing.
We're testing Saib's video
Come
editing
on.
skills here now.
Come on here. Let's go. All right. Listen, I'm gonna cancel you all in a second. Yeah, I'm gonna hit that mute button on Zoom. Cancel man out. Yeah. So this is the topic we're talking about. What's happening, everyone? Hope you're all doing well. We're gonna jump straight into it. Yeah. Cancel culture. First question. Straight away, I'm going to ask Vijay, because we're talking about the topic of cancel culture. You cancelled a bunch of cricketers. Is it right? Is it wrong? Just because you got a different opinion about what they felt about the farmers' protest, you went and cancelled them. You vowed that you're never going to support them again. Is cancel culture in that sense right or wrong? What do you reckon?
In my eyes, I am happy to cancel anybody that I suddenly... No, I swear down. I don't care. I'm actually, what's the point? Like, if I think so deeply about something and like the cricketers done what they've done, yeah, you know what, maybe I agree with them on other things, but this one I don't agree with them. Forget it. I'm done with cricket. I'm done with all of them. Cancel.
Yeah, but
it doesn't make any difference to them. But yeah, like, I won't do that to everybody, but at certain times where I agree with, where I think, yeah, you know what, I'm right, you're wrong. Done, finished.
Yeah, but do you reckon you've only just done that because of the subject that's so like close to your heart?
No, for example,
because you don't know what they've done previously, like what they might have done.
Forget all of that. Virat Kohli just in the gym, man, posting photos all the time. Oh, look at me in my puke gear. That's all he bloody does. Anyway, the other one, Lawrence Fox. I don't know if you lot remember him from a Question Time interview. And the whole thing blew up massively, and he has suddenly become like a massive advocate of freedom of expression. But at the time, what he said, and then what he later said about a Sikh guy being in a World War film and saying, "Oh, look at you!" Do you remember that? That whole story.
1917.
Yeah, bro. I didn't even know who Lawrence Fox was. So I don't even know if I can cancel him. So. You know what? But there's so many people that cancelled him, and now he's like brought a political party out of it. But I kind of agree with it, man. I agree that.
Do you think, Vijay, when the farmers' protest started, that you would have been as vehemently like cancelling someone who wasn't in favour of it, or do you think that's happened over a period of time?
No, it's an event, isn't it? It's that specific event. Government comes along, they put out their propaganda. And ironically say India's against propaganda, and then they have all their puppets run along. And then I think what it is I expected more of these young, dynamic, new world thinking cricketers. I thought like they're not like the old school guys who probably not done any reading. You know, everyone's on social media. Everyone knows, you know, like human rights, what's going right and wrong. Yeah, fair enough. Everyone wants to protect their country to a certain level, but if something's wrong, something's just
But with cancel culture, do you wish bad on them? As in, because that kind of comes hand in hand. When people go for this whole cancel culture, like, there's some serious consequences. People get death threats, all sorts of things, right?
Yeah,
like,
no.
Like, where do you draw the line? But like, I don't know. Like,
me personally, I'm just like, no, I'm done with that. That's it, finished. I can't be bothered with any of them. Unfollow. Who cares? That's my part in it. It makes zero difference to Virat Kohli. He doesn't care. It makes zero difference to Yuvraj Singh. But like the same thing was happening to, I don't know if you lot saw Hansraj Hans. He turned up to one of the protests. The guy just got run out of there.
But that's because like, you know, Hansraj has been toying with trying to be a politician for years, and then he would jump from Indian National Congress Party to BJP whenever he didn't get a seat. So there's a history there behind it. But like, you've just made a good point about what cancel culture is, because anyone can block someone and say, I don't like you anymore. The overarching factor of cancel culture is that it's not just you blocking them. You think or you project that everyone in society should now block them. So while on the face of it, you're right, Virat Kohli don't care that some kid called Vijay stopped following him on Twitter and was a fan of his once upon a time. But Virat Kohli cares when 100,000 people stop following him on Twitter and start telling a whole bunch of other people to stop following him, and start a campaign with his sponsors to stop endorsing him, right? So that's the whole, like, that's the real thing about cancel culture. It's not just you blocking someone. We all do that. We all browse. So
I guess I was doing that.
There's that Mussy you don't speak to. There's your poor son you don't speak to. Right. We all got that we don't do that.
No, my family love me, bro. I don't know about you lot.
This is the next level up. This is saying no one's allowed to speak to them. Everyone's write them out. Don't you think?
I did go down that line. I put it up on my Instagram. I was like, forget this guy. But I think that maybe that was me, like my feeling.
All right, then let's switch it up then, Vijay. So like, let's just say again, playing devil's advocate. If I was to say to you, I'm still a fan of Virat Kohli, then would you then?
Nah, that's up to you.
Would it domino effect, and then you cancel someone like me for supporting him, or would you still?
I don't go that deep on it. If the terminology or if the term cancel culture goes that deep, okay, no, I'm in the actual real sense of whatever the phrase it means, no, probably not. But I wouldn't stop talking to people per se over their views. Like, there's people at work that, for example, voted Brexit and stuff like that, and I completely disagreed with them. But doesn't mean that because our opinions differ, I'm gonna just like cut you out completely. Yeah, I think you're, but apart from that.
But that's the problem, though, isn't it? There's loads of people out there that just because someone will have an opposing viewpoint against the person they've cancelled or the viewpoint they've cancelled, then they'll just automatically put you in that category without even listening to what you've got to say.
And is that healthy though as well? Is that actually making a difference, do you reckon?
Of course it's not.
I don't think it is. Like, I have friends that have opposing viewpoints on just shitloads of things. If I went and said I'm going to cancel you, like I still not push my opinion, but I still talk about my opinion to them. But
yes,
it's much more fun when you do that, right?
Yeah,
you get to have a decent argument with someone.
Yeah, but certain Monday, like certain times, certain topics, you just know you're not going to change their opinion. And at the end of the day, like, okay, I can see that perhaps you guys don't necessarily always agree with it. I wouldn't say I would always do it, but in that particular situation, I felt it was right to do it, and I projected my view out there as well. I wouldn't say that I just unfollowed them quietly. I put it to 300 followers on Instagram. But so I put it out there to say, unfollowed this guy. But have I done it against others? Yeah, I think maybe when Lawrence Fox done it, I thought he was a bit of an idiot. But I wouldn't say I'd go around doing it religiously, like, this one's
no, but that's what I'm getting at. Like, I agree with what you're saying, Vijay, but I still think like cancel culture is a bit, I don't want to say the word extreme, but it's in a sense you've literally refused to even acknowledge someone's opinion based on their one thought or their one opinion on that subject. So what I'm getting at is like, instead of listening to why they think a certain way, like I get Virat Kohli, that's different. Man just didn't speak, he just didn't give an opinion on anything, he's just acting like there's nothing going on. But generally us lot will cancel people without actually listening to why they think the opposing viewpoint as to what we do. Do you get what I mean?
I think there was a problem with the cricketers or any of the Indian celebrities in the Punjab protest, was that a lot of them went out and just put the government line as soon as it was sent to them on this one particular day a couple of weeks ago. So that made some of them stand out, who were the first ones to be cancelled. But you're raising a good point, Dav, is that what would it take for you to cancel someone, like for you to be part of cancel culture by saying I can't follow this? What's the line that someone can push over, like push you over?
I don't know, I'm quite a tolerant person. I like listening to everyone's view. I'm always quite interested to hear why certain people think a certain way, and then it's quite funny because if I keep following them, I see how their viewpoint shifts, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, well, you change your opinion, or you tend to see people contradict themselves. So for example, without calling anyone out, you hear a lot of people, especially with the whole protest that's going on at the moment in India, for example, where they're like, I was chatting to Vijay about this earlier this week, where someone will be like, now if like at the moment I'm not going to bring the subject up or bring the discussion with any of my boys that are XYZ, because if they have an opinion that's different to mine, I'm just not going to chat to them again. And it's like,
that's
what
weird.
You're literally going to stop talking to your mates that you've been friends with for like 10 odd years just because they've got a different opinion. Like, surely we're allowed a different opinion, but the dialogue should be, well, why have they got that opinion? And then you make your assumption, right? Because we might all have different people. We might vote half of us Tory, half of us Labour. Doesn't mean that we're going to stop chatting to each other.
Okay, what about Katie Hopkins then?
Nah, come on, man. Use some examples, bro.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Someone like Katie
Hopkins, it's a good example. But
that's
I
what I
don't
mean.
But Vijay, you don't
yeah.
have to. You can choose not to follow her. You can
Yeah.
choose not to read her. But cancel culture is going one step above that. She shouldn't be given space on a platform.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what I meant by like not her as an example is because she's aired her viewpoints on so many different occasions and on so many different like facets of like whether it's race, economy, education, XYZ, and they're just all like such a ridiculous.
But someone like that, you just said, oh yeah, I'm tolerant. I would like to hear them out. And but somebody like that, you cannot change their opinion. You can talk to them as much as you want, but that person.
But that's not the quest, though. We're not trying to. It's like Trump. Twitter cancelled him, but let's be honest, everyone wants to read his tweets because he's just such a buffoon.
I got to say the same thing for Katie Hopkins. I thought it was a bad day when they took her off for the sole reason that she was the gift that just kept on giving.
Exactly.
She put her foot in it so many times. Look, Vijay, I ain't gonna lie. When she was on and we'd share like the odd bit, oh, she put this out, or she put that out today, you would look at it and say, oh God, she's still around, right? But I would always just remind myself, just go watch that video of her on This Morning.
India one.
About India, yeah.
My kid's name is India, and it was really. Like you're saying people shouldn't name their kids geographical locations, but you named your daughter India. It's like she literally is a parody of herself.
Yeah, she is.
So Trump, to a certain extent, was speaking to people. But I don't know if you guys remember this early on in the Trump campaign. Me and Sahib talked about this actually when it first happened. I don't know if Sahib remembers, but when Trump still hadn't become president, but he was about to become president. There was a lot of thought and talk from people saying that he doesn't actually know what to do right now. He was just doing the whole thing as a bit of a scam, like a bit of a let's see how dumb people really are. And then when he got into it, he was like, oh damn, what do we do now? And then people like Steve Bannon alongside him, who I got a lot of time for. I don't agree with pretty much anything he says, but Steve Bannon, I think, is one of the most like literate people that you can find. He knows how to articulate what he's trying to say. You don't have to agree with it, but he's very good at doing it. So he was another example of someone who got cancelled very, very quickly, right? So Sam, do you remember those conversations we were having about Trump like that?
I do remember him.
The whole thing was like,
don't lie, man. He's there like, no, don't remember.
Yeah,
I do.
I don't remember who Steve Bannon is.
I do remember it.
It was the same time. It was around the same times we were at the Munde protest and that's why.
I do remember it. But it's down to free speech though, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like cancel culture is just basically directly related to free speech and how far can you go, right? Like when and I don't actually know the answer because I sometimes struggle with where to draw the line. Like when am I going to be offended enough about something and I feel like that's it, man. You crossed the line, and then I'm an advocate of free speech at the same time. It's weird.
Exactly, but even the opposite side, where like where some people are scared to voice their opinion because they think they're gonna get cancelled, like not even in the sense where like everyone blocks them, but within their friendship circle or within their work group or whatever.
That's what Lawrence Fox was saying, and that's what Lawrence Fox was saying. Like he thinks that in this country now freedom of speech is gone because as soon as you say anything that might be seen as slightly racist, even though it's not meant in that way at all, people are just jumping on it. People are jumping on it completely. So, okay, I understand that point, but when you then double down on certain views that seem pretty racist, then, you know, at the end of the day, if a certain amount of people are going to cancel you, that's just the world we live in. Then just, you know.
Did you guys see what Jack Dorsey, like CEO of Twitter, said when they actually took Trump off the platform? When they took him off Twitter, he said that, you know, this is something we haven't done lightly, blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff. And he said, you know, we obviously, you know, we've taken this decision, like we obviously believe that he shouldn't be allowed to have this voice on this platform. But make no mistake, this is a start of a very slippery slope. Like it's a very dangerous thing we've just done. And the implication is if the president of the United States is censored, then who else can who else has got a chance, right? If corporations can decide you don't get to talk to people, man, we're all at risk, right?
They got massive power in their hands. Obviously, these tech companies, a lot of power in their hands. But yeah, that was more to do with him inciting violence, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when they took him off. Was when when the people came together to take the insurrection and all that stuff that happened in the United States. But if you look more widely, that's one of the more important reasons to have your own space where you speak, because if you're speaking through social media, you're always at the whim of somebody else controlling your voice. If you've got your own website, you've got your own blog, you've got your own channels outside of corporate media, then you're on a better footing. The problem is even that's limited, because if you're somebody who a government doesn't like and is a powerful government, your servers are going to get taken down. It don't matter who's hosting you. You're going to get taken down by Amazon servers. You'll get taken down by like all these other ones like big hosts, and all the people that host web servers will take you down eventually as well. So it means you don't have a voice. Like, you can start printing stuff on your printer at home and going old school and start handing it out to people, but that's the only way to get your voice across. It's a scary place, particularly when you see what happened to people like Edward Snowden, and you see what happened to WikiLeaks founder, I forget his name. But these characters in our like everyday life now, when they get taken off of here's your space to speak, it is very, very dangerous ground we're on.
But then who's the judge? Someone's going to judge somewhere, right?
Exactly.
As humans, we're always passing judgments. So now it's just shifted a bit. Maybe this liberal culture that's maybe taking over to a certain extent, and we're maybe, I don't know, a bit more sensitive to it, certain things being said. Another example that came to mind, sorry to cut you off, Dab, Tommy Robinson.
No, go ahead.
So Tommy Robinson, for example, like, I actually have watched a number of his interviews, what he says, and like I disagree with him entirely, but he thinks he's so right on what he knows about Muslims. Now, he's grown up in Luton, he's grown up around a lot of Muslim people, and he's so cemented in his views about Muslims, and he will not change that. And he thinks he's done the reading, and he thinks he knows the religion, no matter how many Muslim people come and tell him, no, you're reading that wrong, you're understanding that wrong, that's not how it is. But he will still keep spouting his views. Now, would I say I've cancelled him? No, I guess I've opened myself to listen to what he's saying, but I totally disagree. But yeah, if I cancelled him and said, forget him, loads of people have tried to cancel him, they still keep coming, they still keep talking. So it's not like they're completely shut down. They have a space somewhere. Maybe the majority are against them, but there's still a space for them. So Tommy Robinson has people that follow him and think, everything this guy says is correct. Same with Katie Hopkins, right? So if I cancel him and a number of people cancel him, okay, it might hurt their pocket, but then, maybe at some point they need to open their mind up to what people are saying as well. Like, if the majority of people are saying, no, your views are racist, you're completely misunderstanding the religion, you need to open yourself up to this, but you're unwilling to do so, then you've got to take the flak with it at the end of the day.
So, I don't know if I can agree. I don't know if I agree with that fully though, because what I'm thinking then, because just that last bit that you said where if the majority of people are basically saying this, then it's got to be right, kind of thing.
Exactly.
But I'm not sure if that's true, because if the narrative's driven by some machine, we might actually, our opinions are changed without us even realizing to something that's wrong. And then actually, if Tommy Robinson is a bad example, but let's say there is someone who's representing actually the truth, right?
Yeah.
And then the narrative, the majority of people, we're driven to the wrong narrative. So that's now popular belief, and we say that, no, this is right. For example, Nazi Germany, I'm just going to throw it out there as an example. Anti-Semitism was a narrative that was driven, and a majority in that country, a lot of people believed that narrative. And then the government machine were able to push a narrative which they interpret it as right. People believed it, and then you have shit like the Holocaust happen, right?
Well, the same thing would happen with Brexit.
Exactly.
Exact same thing happened with Brexit.
Yeah, it's true. So is that the right thing then?
Yeah, and I agree with Sahib to a certain extent, where you said, Vijay, like, oh, but he's so cemented in his views. But you only have to look around your friends, your family. There's so many people that are cemented in their views, and you could flip it that the people that are trying to say he's wrong, they're just as cemented in their views. So like you can't really say. I mean, I'm not advocating that he's right or he's
No, don't lie,
you know,
man. ED
you
help.
get what, do you get what I mean? But in terms of like, you could go one step further, and this is a bit controversial, but who's to say that people know exactly how their own religion is interpreted and what it means to be X, Y, Z? Like,
well, that's legit. That's legit right there. Yeah, there's so many people who don't know their own identities.
Yeah,
and then when they're challenged on it, it's like a huge problem for them, right? Is that
you've almost got the past, like with again, without getting too controversial, like Harvey, you were a bug. And if we tried arguing with someone now, who are they going to believe out of us for about Sikhi? It's going to be Harvey, just because, like, from a visual aspect, he's more in tune with the religion than us three are, regardless of whether we know more than him or we don't. And that would be
a huge mistake, because you're just going by a visual look at someone, you're judging the book by its cover and saying, oh, this person can't know that or this. And sometimes, you know, the most devoted adherents of a way of life or a way of thinking, so like a political ideology, sometimes the most devoted people in that are the ones who ain't got a clue the most, man. Like the blind lead in the blind, though. Like I saw Katie Hopkins as a lot of that. It was the blind lead in the blind. That was she was shooting fish in a barrel. That's a group of people in this country, in the United Kingdom and the US to a certain extent, who nobody listens to and nobody talks to and no one cares about. They're just everyday people. Now, here's the bit they don't understand. They still have it better than the rest of us, right? All of those disenfranchised white males, 18 to like 60, the ones who follow and go down that road, they don't understand what it's like to go through airport security thinking, oh crap, is this actually, like, am I gonna have to go through this again? They don't understand what it's like walking down a road, whether you're in a city or in a town at night, thinking, I could get stabbed up here. But we grew up thinking like that. And you still think like that today, right? They've never had to worry about that or think about that. They make up now like, oh, there's parts of this country that are off limits for us and we can't go there. And maybe to a certain extent that's true, but mate, you still had it 50 times, 100 times better than the rest of us. You were fish in a barrel and she was shooting them down every single time. And so like Dab's right to bring in like the religious example as another great example of it. People can just do this all day long. So when you go to cancel them, sometimes you end up making them stronger, because people feel like they're being even more repressed and their voice is being taken away, or the people who follow them think their voice is being taken away. That's certainly the case with Trump. All those millions of people suddenly jumped ship to some of these other social media channels that he's on and started to follow that. And what was the one for the Punjab Kisan protest? They're going to start a whole new app in India.
But sorry to cut you off, Harvey, but going back to like what Sahib said, like where do we draw the line in terms of like who sets the tone for this person needs to be cancelled? Is it just one influential person? One influential person is like, nah, this person's cancelled. Then all of a sudden the people that follow them, that's what I meant. Like it's almost like a playground.
It's like a witch hunt against someone.
Yeah, exactly. But in this day and age, it's even worse, because you can find out so much about someone by sitting at home on your laptop. So these people aren't even getting jobs or whatever, not to say that they should, but like what I'm getting at is that you can't freely, although we live in a democracy, you can't really talk as freely as you want in the fear that your opinion is going to have a backlash in terms of your whole livelihood and the rest of your life not being able to actually get any opportunity in any channel like in our society. So that's what I meant.
I see what you mean. It's a scary time then when you've got, I don't know about you guys, but I got like some people I talk to on the left where they say, yeah, that's fair comeuppance. And I'm sitting there like, really? Like completely wipe out someone's entire future and their chances of doing something because they were stupid on Twitter 5 years ago?
Yeah, no, that I disagree with. Like that's coming up so much where like somebody said something years ago and suddenly that's being held against them. Wasn't there an example recently? I think there was a black lady, I can't remember what her name was, and
mate, there's an example every week.
Yeah, every day.
Looking, man, every day there's an example.
Now, if you're gonna dig up stuff that people have done or said in the past, everybody evolves, right? That I don't agree with necessarily, but Yeah, somewhere you got to draw the line. Who makes the judgment call? I
But
don't know.
even that, when do
But-
people forgive someone that they change? Actually, if you feel really
Yeah.
strongly, are you going to forgive Tommy Robinson? Let's say if in 2 years' time he turns around and says, you know what, I was wrong, I'm really sorry. But people might just be like, oh, because he's done of his past, he's got an agenda, he's lying, he's not really about, he's you know, he's using this for another hidden agenda that he's got. I don't know, do you see what I mean? Like, it's down to us as well, in a way, that the people that engage in cancel culture, we also have to sort of at one point decide that this is now forgiving culture at some point as well.
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, but don't you remember he done this and this and this? Or don't you remember she went and done this? So how are you going to like this person now?
But
Now, I'll give an
we're like
example.
that
I've got a personal example when
Here we
I
go.
did the
Here we go,
Nah,
lads.
when I did the Inkalot, I've got a couple of personal
Oh,
examples.
dear.
Actually.
Cut it off. Cut it off.
And in a weird way, they're all like Harvey inspired in a way. I blame you, bro, for my life. No, I'm joking.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm only joking. But no, one was when I did this,
No, he's
I did on Inkalab channel, I did a video and I wore a t-shirt. It was basically Marx and Guru Nanak. And in that t-shirt, I basically designed it. I made it myself, but it was basically, I had half of Karl Marx's face and half of Guru Nanak's face, and I sort of put them together like as if it's one face, right? And I got shitloads of backlash for that, like especially more from like religious Sikhs, yeah, that felt I was doing some sort of beadabi in a way of Guru Nanak, right? And I was like, obviously my views have majorly changed since then. But if anyone saw that video right now and then saw me on the street, like, you know, like that t-shirt, people were saying if you know, if I shouldn't be wearing that, giving me advice, I shouldn't be wearing that t-shirt out. Like, I'd be putting myself
Can I ask you a question, Sahib?
into danger.
Yo, sorry to cut you off. Did any of those people actually ask you what made you make that t-shirt? What's the reason behind it before they started saying you shouldn't do that?
My video was all about that. I'm explaining in the video why I thought that the two were the same, like Marx and Guru Nanak were the same to me. So that's why I was going into it in the video, hence the t-shirt. But people were disagreeing with the fact that I'm comparing the two, which now it kind of also goes into the changing my mind thing. What I said then, I don't agree with my own viewpoint from back then. Like, I would agree, in a way, I would actually agree with them and say, you know what, you're right. Like, they're not the same. Like, now, for me, Guru Nanak is, you know, on another level compared to Marx. But at the time, this is the way I felt. I was passionate about this, and I put my viewpoint out. And I did it where I didn't really care about the backlash, whether I'm going to get cancelled or not. So, in a way, you have to also.
All right, then, sorry to cut you off again.
No,
okay,
cool.
sorry. Would you do a video like that again now, where you don't care about the backlash, or would you think twice now before doing the video? Because it seems like now you would think twice, whereas before you wouldn't think about it because there was no cancel culture back then. You were just thinking, right, if anyone.
No, there was
But
definitely cancel culture, but there's
There
always
was.
been cancel culture.
Yeah,
But
but
that's
it
why-
was different though. It was
But no,
different.
that's
It was more like, okay, this person's gonna disagree with me. I'm up for an argument. Whereas now it's like we don't even get into an argument. We're just canceling this guy straight up.
But now, do you know what? Even then, Dav, like 5-6 years ago on YouTube, if people saw one thing you did that they didn't like, they would just literally like, not watching him again. I've got so many people who don't come over to the Nojwani channel ever, just because of one thing we might have done that they didn't like.
Yeah, but that was different. 5-6 years ago, that's one person saying, don't watch this, and they'll tell their friends. Social media's evolved on a whole different scale to the point it will
It's
get
definitely, it's definitely more intense.
Spread the word,
Yeah.
this video needs to be taken down and cancel this guy straight.
It's more intense now for sure.
Way more
I'm
intense.
just saying that, hell yeah. But I'm saying like it definitely did happen back then, because when Sai put that video out, I remember speaking to a whole bunch of people like, the hell are you hanging out with this douchebag for? And I was like, nah, man.
People say that to me all the time about Sahib,
Yeah,
man.
same for
All
me.
the time.
Same. They're like, bruv, why are you doing a podcast?
Yeah,
with
Sahib.
I'm just like, listen.
Yeah.
Mad.
Do you know what though? Like, this is what's bad. Like, I said, look, I don't agree with it at all. I think what he's chatting in the video don't make any sense to me at all. Like, I can understand why he's now doing something like that, having that t-shirt and putting out that video. But like that doesn't mean I'm not going to still hang out with him and stuff, and still like he's one of the few people I've actually got on with in my life. So I'm not gonna suddenly stop talking to him, right? I think
I bet Sahib's got bare t-shirts. He's just like, I need to throw these away. I disagree with this t-shirt. I disagree with this one.
I've got a few t-shirts that I wish I'd never done back in the day, but I don't think they even come close to some of the stuff that people started doing in your generation on YouTube and that. And I think that's really scary as well, because it's like you lot have all grown up with the internet to a certain extent, but social media for sure as well. So you've had to grow up in a public eye. You didn't, when you were putting something on MySpace, you didn't think other people would take it seriously 5 years later, 10 years later.
Yeah.
Fortunately, MySpace disappeared, but Facebook didn't. So if you go back on Facebook and like, you go back through your comments with someone and, you're arguing with someone about like whether you should use the word rest in peace or not, you knew it was coming.
Bro.
But yeah, if you argue with someone about whether or not you should say rest in peace, or whether you shouldn't say that because it's an Abrahamic connotation for a brown person, you shouldn't be using that unless you're Christian. Like that's something that can come back and bite you on the backside years later, and that's madness, absolute madness. So Sahib, you gave that one example, but you've got a much better example of that, of cancel culture, where when you've done some videos, you have to go into detail, but you've made videos that then cause serious problems, right?
I know which one you're referring to.
You're talking about the serious problems in my family.
Yeah, so it doesn't even have to be publicly, but it's just within your own families. You suddenly get, right, they're cancelled. What the hell is this, right? And like impinge upon your free speech because they see it as an insult. I think we've all got that as brown people. All our families have got that problem, but you've had experience of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I did, but it's true, and it's pressure. It's like I think Dav or Vijay, one of you two, kind of mentioned it, where you give in to the pressure at the end of the day. Like, and I did. Like, my mum was literally crying and saying, "What the? Can you take this off? And can you take down your opinion?" Like, and I gave in to the pressure because I was like, "Oh man, this is too much of a headache right now at home." Harvey, can you take down that video, please? But like, but it was really difficult though, because I don't know if it was my ego that was hurt, but it was also something that I remember us talking about it as well. And it was like, I was proper like trying to fight against that. And I was like, no, I'm going to keep it up. This is my view. But like I said, pressure is a real thing sometimes, where then you have to give in, you cave in, and you feel like you betrayed yourself in a way. It's really a weird feeling where you're in between.
But that's why there has to be boundaries though, right? Like, okay, for example, what you've done, I would never have done that. Some people obviously like will rate you for it. Some people won't, whatever. You went ahead and took that decision to put the video up, fine. But there has to be some boundary somewhere. Like, not everything has to be said that we think. And like, if something that you have said is quite, it hurts people, it hurts people's feelings, and then people have a right to be upset. And then after that, how people react to being upset is up to them. Like, yeah, I see what you mean. Cancel culture can get out of control, but I think the whole cancelling people, cutting people off, that's been going on for years, right? That's just part and parcel of life, because we all pass judgments all the time. But now because of social media, it's spiraling, but everything's spiraling out of control.
Can I just say that was very deep from the Fakir Sai there in the nice little hat. Like, everything you think doesn't have to be said, and it doesn't have to be platformed. You can just think something without platforming it.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice if our society could stay like that, but obviously that's not the way it's going to stay, and that's the whole point. So you're not going to stop Kim Kardashian from putting out whatever she wants to put out. Kanye, God, is a better example, obviously.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be able to stop Katie Hopkins from doing and saying all the things she does. She went and found a different platform. When she got taken off Twitter, she just went to different platforms. She's got like an e-newsletter that goes out every day. She goes and did live talks. Like, the pandemic obviously hit them hard, but Tommy Robinson's the same. They do live in-person events, and
Yeah, but the cancel thing, like, so even like what Vijay is saying, not everything that you think has to be said. But then let's take it on the other flip side, where there's like something going on that's significant. You don't know enough about it to form your opinion. but you're gonna get cancelled or ultimately questioned as to why are you not following this, and why are you not posting this, and why are you not voicing the same opinion as all us lot. So there's that fear of, oh, I can't even have my opinion in case I get cancelled, or I can't even just not have an opinion on something in case of getting cancelled. So the pressure's on both sides. Like you get pressured into having to just post something, whether you believe in it or not 100%, or whether you just want to sit on the fence because you don't know enough about it.
Yeah, or whether you just may not even know about it properly.
Yeah, exactly. The same way me and you, Vijay, didn't really know enough about the farmers' protest, so then we didn't form a solid opinion to then restart reposting on social media and stuff. But we were always going to get people asking us, like, how come you've not said anything? Like, what's the matter? Do you not believe in it? Are you a Modi support? Are you this? Are you that? And it's like, bruv, not everything that I think has to be said. And I get it's a bigger movement. I'm just using that as an example. But then you almost feel pressured, like, okay, maybe I do need to say something. Maybe I do need to post something. And imagine there's people out there that are so, like, they're not strong enough or strong-minded enough to actually voice and say, listen, just leave me alone a little bit. I wanna read up on it before I do anything. Some people just end up posting it just because like someone more influential than them in their friend circle has done it, and they feel like, shit, if I don't do it, then
they don't even allow themselves to formulate their own opinion. And I don't know if you guys ever came across, if you boys ever come across the kind of a lot of chatter online that targets Superwoman, the YouTuber in particular, Lily Singh, where it says that she's a sellout. She doesn't do enough or say enough for the community generally, not just Sikhs, but brown people as a whole. Have you come across that before? Like, there's a lot of vitriol about that.
What, since her late show, you mean?
Even before that, for like the last as far as I've been seeing, from about 5 years ago is where it really started. When she hit like 1 million subscribers, it became, she's not doing enough for the community now, and it's on the backs of the community that she got this big. You know, now she has like over 10 million subscribers. I don't know what she's at now. It must be much higher than that, but she has like her own late night talk show, and it became even bigger. But then I noticed like there's a lot when she put out stuff about the farmers' protest. But before, even before she did that and after she did that, there's a few people saying like, oh, typical Lily Singh, like not saying anything or not doing anything. Or when she does it, she waters it down. She's a sellout. And I was sitting there thinking, damn, you're properly damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
A lot of people, I don't know how much you lot have seen that. Like, she got cancelled a long time ago by a lot of brown people who just said she's a sellout. The same was for Humble the Poet. Not to the same extent at all, but a lot of people were looking at him and just saying, this guy's a sellout. And the one that I find the most humorous is Rupi Kaur, the poet. She has a lot of hate. And
really?
Because there's a few artistic things going on here where a number of other poets or spoken word poets, people claim that, you know, Rupi Kaur has borrowed heavily from their work for her own work, so she's a plagiarist at some level. And I even wrote about this on Nojoni once, countering like one of the essays on that. And I kid you not, within 5 minutes of that going live, one of my acquaintances picked up the phone, like from the Sikh world, picked up the phone and said, bro, that's a complete bullshit you've put out there. Like, we should all be against Rupi, blah, blah, blah. I was like, what the hell? I was like, look, if you so hate it, write an article against mine. He goes, yeah, I'm going to have to. And he's like he's really left-leaning. So it's mainly like a lot of left-leaning people who really didn't like Rupi at that point. And I was like, yeah, just publish it then. I don't care, bro. And I never have. He never did.
But you can you can always find plagiarism in art. Look at hip hop. Hip hop's based on sampling. Like the whole idea that you listen to any hip hop track, it's sampling. No one's going around saying, you know, Timberland or any of these lot, they're just all plagiarism. Like, it's all just full of plagiarism because they're sampling an 80s track and then putting a beat to it and they're calling it their own. Like, that's for sure. Art. Like, you're taking something that is there and then putting your spin on it.
Raiders, get your hoodie now.
There you go.
Punjab's finest. Shout out now.
There you go. It's true though. That's just art. But then again, it's always going to be people that don't either understand it or people that like don't want to understand why they've done that or why has she written the poem in that sense, and then ask her. They're just like, nah, Jal, that's it. Allow her. Cancel her.
That's why I bring it up as an example, whether it's Lily Singh all the way over to Rupi Kaur and anyone else in between. There's got to be some level there, Dab, where people are Like there's something else behind the cancel culture. It's not they're just picking an example to use to cancel someone, but it's just that you've judged a book by its cover kind of thing. Like we said earlier, you've taken a choice, you followed the crowd. One or two people didn't like Lily Singh, they thought she was too white, and that was it. Like you just run with that little snowball, and then it just keeps going.
But you just said about when you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? And I felt like Gurdas Mann was in that category. So I don't think he had really come out. And everyone was hammering this guy, like, why hasn't he come out? Why hasn't he really said anything? Then he had to make that full on, I don't know if you lot ever saw it. It was like a 5 or 8 minute video basically saying, no, I support the farmers. You know, I'm there with them too, just because I haven't come out.
But his whole Vijay Gurdas Mann's whole video was about defending his own comments on a Canadian radio station a couple of years ago.
About the
Punjabi, he's sidelined talking about the Punjab farmers protest. You are right. He is damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. But the reason for that all goes back to just one thing. This man danced with KPS Gill. Once you've done that, it's really difficult to come back. It's really difficult. Like in certain sections of the Sikh community, I've never held it against anyone like you're a fan of Gurdas Mann, right? Or you like Gurdas Mann. I even still, like, once I tried to go to one of his concerts, like now going back 15 years ago, and I thought, let's go see him still sing and see, like, I shouldn't just hate on the guy for nothing, right? And but nah, like I didn't actually get in. The venue weren't allowing you in if you had a karpan, so that just added to my anti-Gurdas rhetoric. But it is true. Like if there's one, it's weird, isn't it? There's one person in the world I cancelled. It was Gurdas Mann.
Did you? You actually cancelled him?
I've never paid any interest in anything he does over the last 15 years, other than to criticize him.
All right, to wrap it up, everyone basically admit who you've cancelled. Because I admitted it straight away, but you lot are like free speech. So come on.
Here's what's crazy. I'm not kidding you. I'm for free speech for everyone except Gurdas Mann.
I like Gurdas Mann, but he makes me feel uneasy when he's getting Luddy Shah throwing money all over him. So I don't know what that's all about.
He also makes you feel uneasy because he's got that look about him that if he came to your house, he'd try chatting up your wife. I've always had that vibe from him. I don't know about you lot.
And I'm sure he's getting Botox as well. And he's about 95.
That geezer's a slick talker, you know it.
He just turns everything into a poem.
Yeah.
Even if you're cussing him, he just drops one sick, deep poem and it's like, Gurdas, bro.
You can see it. You're sitting at home, Gurdas Mann has come over to eat, and you're sitting there chatting away, and you ask him a question, he gives you like a solid answer. Then your wife asks him a question, he's like, Hanji, main thanu dassana. Hanji.
That mitti awaaz, bro.
Bade mitte bolan naal tusi sawal puche. Main hun jawab thanu geet vich dewa je sher vich. You can kill it, right? No, okay. I'm obviously playing up a little bit here. I never cancelled Gurdas Mann. I just became incredibly critical of him, which is not a good place to be either. Hands up, but I've never cancelled him. Like I said, I genuinely actually tried to go to one of his shows. But yeah, on the record, who is there that you cancelled completely? That's a really good question. So Vijay, you start us off because you did it. You did it just 2 weeks.
Where do I start? Maybe the one that pops to mind are like some of these cricketers, right? Some of these guys. Bollywood. I would say, but then to be fair, Bollywood I kind of cut off a couple of years ago because the whole nepotism thing, getting bigger and bigger. I kind of started following that side of things. I was kind of getting away out of Bollywood anyway. Like, not that I was like majorly in it, but it was just, the films are just rubbish. It was remakes. But then recently, with some of them just following the guidelines of what the government put out, now I'm just like, forget these lot, man. They don't have a mind for themselves. Like, going back to the Kassan thing, if they had just said their opinion in their own words, perhaps it wouldn't have been such a big deal for me. But when you're just following party line, forget it, cancel them, gone, finished. Don't matter what Kapoor you are, bro. Big up Amir Khan, bro. Big up Amir Khan. Yeah.
I don't know if I've cancelled anyone.
Of course you haven't.
No, but
you know what?
As in like I'm not. I've never felt that.
What about you?
I've never followed anyone enough where I'm like, oh yeah, I don't like them anymore. It's just like it's not that
actually,
deep for
that's
me.
the point.
Friends,
That's the point.
friends is different. There's probably people that I was close friends with before that I'm not so like I don't really care much in terms of having a conversation with them. But it doesn't mean I've cancelled them. Like I've still, if they nod to me and say hello, if I meet or if I bump into them, I'm not gonna be like, nah, bro, you're cancelled, innit, and carry on walking. Like,
no, but that's not cancelling them falling out with someone. 100%.
No,
yeah. So like, I that's what I mean. I've never looked at like celebrities or singers or anyone like that in such a high regard where it affects me deeply enough.
No,
to
all
think,
right. Just on the record,
care.
I mean, I wasn't like bowing down to like Gordley's feet and stuff.
No,
and
he
got
was.
photos.
You lot don't know.
Here's my
Bannon
photo
got-
of Gordley right here.
He had a cricket bat before and now he got rid of it.
But don't worry, if I see like him in the airport, I'm still getting him to sign. No, I'm joking. Like, sign my shirt, bro.
No, I don't know. I can't really think. What about you, Sahib?
Yeah, I genuinely.
Cancelled Karl Marx. Bro.
Nah, cause I feel like. But even then, I haven't cancelled anyone because I enjoy the debate in argument.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I never really cancel anyone because I actually feed off that. If someone's like, yeah, go on then, let's have it then. Kind of.
I like to know their opinion. Like I just want to know. Okay, why do you feel that way?
Why?
If they feel a certain way and they explain it in sort of an honest way and they give some reasoning, then I'm like, okay, cool. Doesn't mean I need to be friends with you.
Also, why I don't think I've really cancelled anyone, and I think I'm not like on social media, as in I don't use Twitter, I don't on Instagram even. I just don't really follow anyone like that, and I don't really care about anyone too much like that. So it doesn't get you into that like mindset, following that trend of I need to cancel someone. Like that's why I'm just like whatever, and I'm half the time I'm gotcha in my own world anyway. I'm like
trust. Wait, he's being honest there, guys.
It keeps you on safe ground if you haven't built up people on a pedestal to knock them down in the first place.
Charles, me and you are safe side. Vijay, you.
But I don't know how this has turned around to me having like loads of gods, cricket gods,
I'm gonna help
Bollywood gods. I don't care about them that much, man.
I'm gonna help Vijay out. I have genuinely, the Gurdasman joking aside, I've got someone that we cancelled a long time ago, and it's Amitabh Bachchan. Amitabh Bachchan was cancelled. Yeah. I've literally, I couldn't believe I did it because I loved the film and I had to watch it afterwards, but only when I'm being at home. But The Great Gatsby, we were sitting there in the cinema watching it, and he suddenly came on screen, and I said to my wife, "Out we go," and she got well vexed. But I was like, I'm not even gonna sit and watch the rest of this. Let's go.
You walked out.
Walked out. No, anytime.
That's cancel culture when you paid a dusty for a cinema ticket and you walked out halfway through.
I was in this day and age, bro.
Exactly. I was so stupid. I should have seen that he was going to be in it. He's like one of the only few brown people that's actually in the film. But
he was only in it for 2 minutes. You should have stayed and closed your eyes.
He's in it in
closed your eyes, Harvey, for 2 minutes.
Dad, what I should have done is gone out to the Coke stand, got a drink, and come back.
Exactly.
I was just annoyed with the film, but then obviously afterwards, I'm a big Leo fan, so I wanted to see the film anyway. But he's in like about 4 or 5 scenes. Now, it don't add up to much, but Amitabh Bachchan, for me, I say us, like for me and a lot of people that I grew up with, he just went, because you were still watching him in Sholay, and you were still watching him in like Nasib and films like that from the early 80s and late 70s. And it was just, as you got older and you realized who he was and what he did, you realized why your dad would swear at the back whenever he came on screen, right? And why like they were not that happy you were watching these films. So as I hit, like, I think I was about 8 or 9, where I was like, no more Amitabh Bachchan, he's done. Never see him, when he's on, just get out.
Yeah,
that's proper.
I'm the same.
That's proper cancel culture for sure.
Any guy that colours his hair black and keeps his goatee white, cancel that guy, bro. Forget him. But
Hey, save the fashion podcast for later. Yeah.
Cool.
That'll be
I'm joking.
That'll be a future edition of Brown Munde the podcast. If anyone wants to, make sure you subscribe over to our YouTube channel. But if you want to hit us up, make sure you start downloading the podcast on a regular basis. You can see us over on Spotify. And where else? Where can they catch us on Instagram? Social media, Walio.
Brown Munde _podcast. At Brown Munde _podcast.
Yeah. Join the 9 followers, guys.
Yeah.
Wait, 9 now. It was like 6 the other day. Hey, big up them 3 followers, you know.
Whoever they were, do you know what I mean?
Whoever they were.
Let's
Don't
go. If we can
cancel us,
get into
bruv.
double
One,
digits by the end
2,
of
3.
this month.
It's us. We're the followers. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be us.
Very good.
But cool,
Alright.
man.
It was
Catch
good
up
chatting
with
with you guys. Peace out, everyone.
Yes.
Yes, safe.
Take it easy. Peace.
Yeah.